Benefits that we have for maintaining a healthy body weight. Things will happen if you don't. And then, of course, what we need to do that, and maintain a healthy diet and an exercise regimen. You know, stay active, eat less, move, and you're going to be okay. I want to introduce you. This is Chandra. She's going to be talking to you about the benefits and pitfalls associated with elevated BMIs. She'll learn more about that in a minute. This is Carmelo, and he'll be talking about exercise, ways we can move without hurting ourselves later in our little program. So, no further ado, Ms. Chandra, go room.
Freddie Garcia,
What is obesity?
Brandon
So
Wright,
actually
Jean
defined as an
Ryan,
excess
Charles
of the
Ellis,
body
and
fat.
David Hill.
And,
Please go to the laundry. Brandon Wright, Jean Ryan, Charles Ellis, David
Well,
Hill,
hang on a minute.
Freddie Garcia, please go to the laundry.
Announcing something we can't hear. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. I want to talk about.
Talk about the pitfalls.
Okay. Okay. So, what are the what kind of health problems that you get that can happen with obesity? Heart problems, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, stroke, and high cholesterol. Some liver and gallbladder disease, sleep apnea and respiratory problems, osteoarthritis, and gynecological problems, abnormal menses and infertility. Those are the health problems that you can have because of obesity. And there was an article that I found, and it says if you're obese and if you can lose about 5 to 10% of your weight, you can delay or prevent some of these diseases that I mentioned. And I'm going to talk about the factors that cause obesity. And first I have is genetic makeup. It's kind of like heredity also. If your parents have obese, their children can have obesity also. And overeating is also one factor that causes obesity. Eating high-fat foods, especially like eating outside, restaurant, fast food, they have a lot of calories in it, so obviously it causes obesity. And being physically active, that's one of the things that if you're not active, it's going to cause obesity. Stress is also one of the factors that causes, because when we're stressed out, we tend to kind of be inactive and tend to eat. That's what I tend to do also. When I'm stressed out, I just continuously eating and all that, so that also causes obesity. And certain medication also have effect on our weight. And certain condition and illnesses like hormone problem, thyroid, if you have less hypothyroidism, that's like your thyroid is not producing as much thyroid hormone, that causes also obesity. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And
okay. I'm just going to define how we take BMI. Kilograms divided by meters squared to go off the metric system, because I guess it wasn't developed by an American, right? But so now we're gonna take my BMI, and how do I turn this thing on? I don't want to know my BMI, but we're just gonna. We don't have a ruler, so we're gonna go.
I've got this scale actually does it for you. If you take it using something. Yeah, just socks off. Yeah, because it has our little scale will pick up your BMI.
Do you know anything?
No. You did 0. One more.
Sorry.
Hang on 1 second. It'll reset in just a second.
How many meters are in a foot? Do you know?
3.3. It's ready?
weigh 292. 133 kilograms. I'm 6 foot, so what's that? 133. What did I tell you that? 193 kilograms?
You're 6 foot and you are
It's 107. How much weight?
63.
Mm-hmm.
You are 200, what was it?
My weight?
Yeah, in pounds.
We have a chart there.
294.
294.
I'm off the scale. I'm off the scale.
Oh, you are in 35.
35. My BMI is 35, so that's like the furthest you can be. But that's just a definition of how we take BMI. In older adults, tend to have more body fat than younger adults. Women have more body fat than men. And muscular individuals and highly trained athletes usually have a higher BMI because of the increased muscle mass.
Tanika Briggs, go to the Green Center, please. Tanika Briggs, go to the Green Center.
Okay. And the reason that they use BMI now instead of just using the weight is because they found that it is comparable to taking underwater weights. They call it underwater weighing and dual energy X-ray absorptiometry. So that's the reason why they do it. They found that it's almost just as accurate as the other techniques to measure fat. And now,
I'll talk to you about that, but first, when we're talking about BMI, usually we're talking about it's akin to having your body fat percentage. And it's not that we necessarily don't want to be overweight, we don't want to be over fat. If you carry a lot of adipose tissue, which is fat, it's this stuff right here, of course our body has plenty of it. We're supposed to have enough to sustain us through the hard times. But that particular tissue, when you get in excess, it has metabolic actions on your system, and you'll start developing these kind of diseases that they were talking about. And that's why, as we age, we don't want an excess of that body fat. It's going to cause these things: arteries hardening, stroke, heart disease, diabetes, those kind of things. So really, a lot of it sounds fairly fancy, but we just don't want to be over fat. So, if we keep it simple, we want to have a lot of lean muscle mass and not as much fat, okay? So, how do we do this? All right, the first thing we're going to do is we want to eat right. We don't want to eat like a teenager, like, all those come up doing eating Cheetos, Slim Jims, and, popcorn, lots of butter on it, and those kind of things. So, as we get a little older, we kind of got to grow up and eat our vegetables. Okay, we have to make sure we get a couple of or 3 leafy green vegetables at least a day. You want to do it with every meal. You can put spinach in your omelets. You can, so I know breakfast is a hard time to get green vegetables. It doesn't really go good with Cheerios or waffles, but each his own. But there's ways you can integrate these things in. Smoothies. I make a thing that they laugh at me at work sometimes where I make what they call a turnip green milkshake. It's not really turnip greens. I may take some kale or some baby spinach and some frozen fruit from the frozen fruit section at the Walmart up here, and some almond milk, and a handful of green kale. Throw it in there, put it in a blender, stir it all up. It sounds disgusting, but you really can't taste the kale, and you get all those phytonutrients and everything in that protect against other things. I'll get into that in a minute. Portion control. That's the main thing. That's what kills me. I know that's what's hard on a lot of people. Everybody likes to go back for seconds. We just got through with Thanksgiving. We all know we all went back and got several portions. Dressing, turkey, sweet potato pie. Gosh, that stuff's good. I know everybody's hungry thinking about it. But limiting your portions is the main thing you can do. If you can keep your calories, mostly for men below 2,200, for women probably about 1,800. That will help you maintain a healthy body weight. Making sure you eat plenty of lean protein, chicken, turkey, fish, those kind of items, they're okay. They're good proteins. Those are going to help you stay full longer between meals. A portion for every meal is about as big as the palm of your hand. So if you go to the restaurant and you want to get a steak per se, you don't need the 22-ounce porterhouse like I like to get. He laughed, he knows. You want to get, the smaller, leaner sirloin strip. Okay, that's just about as big as a deck of cards or as big as the palm of your hand. And then, don't get the white potato. Get you a side of grilled vegetables with it. That'll get you good green vegetables, a good color in there. You can get the colored bell peppers or whatever, grilled and turned into that. Leave the white bread alone, because you're going to have those high density calories in that bread and in that white potato that's going to give you a whole lot of calories and not a lot of nutrients, and it's not very filling. So portion control is a big deal. Now, lately there's been a lot more talk of small meals several times a day rather than 3 large meals, like we're all accustomed to, plus a midnight snack, plus the candy bar after mid-afternoon to keep you awake. But you want to think about doing several small, say 300-calorie meals, say a turkey sandwich, a cup of yogurt, a banana, maybe a green salad with some chicken in it, perhaps for lunch. But if you do 6 of them 3 times a day, that'll kind of keep that metabolism pumping throughout the day, keep you burning calories. Just about the time that last little bit got through, here comes some more, and it'll ramp your metabolism up a little bit, keep you burning throughout the day. And really, you're going to have a little passive calorie burn all the way through, and your weight will start coming down or normalizing. Here's another benefit to that. Blood sugar issues. Okay, we know as we get older, we start having issues with elevated blood sugars. People start getting the type 2 diabetes, big epidemic in the country. One thing that causes a lot of this is all the simple, what they call carbohydrates, that we just pour into our diet. The sugary cereals that we eat for breakfast, the white potatoes and bread we were talking about a while ago, sweet potato is not a good example unless you do like we like to do. Put the glazed pecans and the sugar on it, and God, how much butter's in there. And those things have the simple sugars in them, what they call that hit your bloodstream really fast. It spikes that insulin release, spikes that blood sugar, triggers a big insulin release in your body. And when this happens, you go over a little bit, you feel good, you start crashing down. And what do we want to do as soon as we start crashing down a little bit later? Eat. We start eating again. So we go into this vicious cycle over and over throughout the day, and we're constantly eating. But if we eat things like our lean proteins, like we were talking about the fish, eggs are okay. Even especially egg whites, outstanding lean protein. If we eat those throughout the day, have your little chicken salad at lunch. In the afternoon, a piece of cheese and some almonds. At night, lean piece of fish, green beans maybe, without all the butter on it. If we do this, our blood sugar's not going to take that big spike, have that big insulin dump into your system, and cause these cravings that happen over and over again. At 10 o'clock at night, you're not gonna get up fiending for chocolate pie. 'Cause that's what I do. But if we can do that, that'll help levelize your blood sugars throughout the day. It's gonna help your body work better. It's gonna reduce your cravings, and it's gonna burn more calories. And you're gonna be a more efficient machine overall. In the end of it, there's an old saying I kind of come across on the internet the other day, but it made a lot of sense to me. Says when you eat throughout the day, there's three things you want to remember. And for breakfast, they say you eat like a king. For lunch, you eat like a prince. And for dinner, you eat like a pauper. And in other words, eat a nice, good, healthy breakfast. That's going to get you charged in the morning and get you going, of course, with your lean eggs, protein, those kind of things. Trying to bring milkshake. For lunch, you want to lean it down just a little bit, okay? Maybe soup and a sandwich on wheat bread. Maybe your salad, your chicken salad. And then for dinner, you want to keep it really small, okay? Maybe even a smaller piece of meat. No bread whatsoever. No carbohydrates that you want to dump into there like that. Broccoli, cauliflower, cruciferous vegetables, things of that sort. But, you know, as the day goes on, just eat fewer and fewer calories because you burn most of them in the morning. If you kind of stick to that regimen, that's going to benefit you a great deal. It's going to reduce those blood sugar spikes again. Get those cravings out of the way and help you maintain, you know, a healthy weight because you're not wanting to eat all the time. You mix this with the exercise he's going to talk about in a minute, you're going to have a pretty good outcome every time. You know, but it takes forethought. It takes those kind of things. So remember, you know, king, prince, pauper, can't go wrong. All right, Mr. Cormier.
All right, I'm going to talk about the exercise portion. This is going to be the last portion. And I forgot to mention, we're going to give these papers that we're using, because they're highlighted, highlight the most important parts of what we're talking about. I'm going to actually sit down so I can actually see my paper, and I don't have a podium, but this is kind of more informal that way. But anyways, the National Institutes of Health, that's where we're going off of. That's the basis of what we're doing and where we get our recommendations. And what they found is that most of the weight lost is through reduction of calorie intake. So basically, once you get the diet down, if you need to reduce your weight, diet is going to be the best way. The way to maintain the weight is through exercise. They recommend 150 minutes every week, and it doesn't have to be done all at one time. It can be split out throughout the week. You can even split it up during the day, but basically, it needs to be at least 10-minute intervals. So you can't really work out for 5 minutes. That doesn't count. You have to work out for 10 minutes, and then if you want to stop and then work out another 10 minutes, that's okay. As long as you do that, and you can reach 150 minutes a week. I think it's 2 hours and 30 minutes. So it's not that much. I need to take their advice on that one. But another thing we're going to talk about is the benefits of exercise, especially for the 65-plus age group. It helps reduce osteoporosis and falls. It helps reduce the risk for diabetes too. It helps reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety. I'm going to go off this because it's a lot better than. And it reduces high blood pressure. It reduces your chance for a heart attack, stroke, and several forms of cancer. And I believe the forms of cancer that it mainly helps is endometrial, breast, and colon cancer. So that's always good to know. But they most importantly, this is what they highlighted, that physical activity reduces risk of cardiovascular disease and diabetes beyond that produced by weight reduction alone. So just reducing your weight may not be enough. You still have to exercise to reduce your risk for cardiovascular disease and diabetes. And we have this nifty little chart that we gave everybody, and it just we highlighted the common things that we thought people in this region would do. I think the top one is hiking. I don't know about you, but I haven't hiked ever. I don't think it's too flat. But they have light gardening work, and this is you do this, you can burn 330 calories an hour just by doing light gardening work. If you go golfing, carry on clothes, 330 calories an hour. And stretching, I like that one, 180 calories an hour if you just stretch. So they also have vigorous physical activity. If you can jog real fast, 5 miles per hour, 590 calories an hour. Swimming, slow freestyle laps. Now that may be doable, especially if you'll have joint problems because swimming, it won't impact your joints. But that is 510 calories an hour. So that can always be an option for those that are more active. They see that could be doable in a week. They say walking 2 hours and 30 minutes, 150 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise every week, and weight training, muscle strengthening activities on 2 or more days of a week. That would work all of the major muscle groups like your legs, your hips, your back, your abdomen, your chest, your shoulders, and your arms. And the reason they break it down that way is because they want you to understand that if you're just swimming, you may not be getting the benefits to reduce the risk for osteoporosis without doing the light weight training. And we're talking about light weights, 5 pounds or less. If you can do more, you can do more, but you also need to talk to a physician if you want to know a good range for yourself, because he knows you better than we do, and he can always give you recommendations of what he thinks you can handle. We already remember that. And then I think the last points that they wanted to make, they say to prevent gradual weight gain over time, make small decreases in food and beverage calories, and increase physical activity. So basically they're telling you, don't try to do everything at once. Set goals for yourself, small goals. That way when you set the goals, you feel empowered to continue with your goals. And I know personally that that's hard to do, especially when you get motivated to do these things like diet and exercise. But because of your age, you also have to remember that if you overexert yourself, you may cause adverse reactions. And of course, if you have any pre-existing conditions, we're not recommending that you go out here and do this today. You need to go talk to your doctor first. And that's with the case with medications and any kind of changes in your over-the-counter medications. So we always want to make that clear. Let's be safe before we make any changes. If you have really any chronic condition that you're being treated for and you're being prescribed medication regularly for it, you need to go talk to your doctor. Bring him this sheet and go talk to your doctor and see what he says, what would be applicable to you, what you should do. And he can honestly, they may even have brochures from the NIH, from the National Institutes of Health, that would be applicable to you, would have a plan and a planner out there for you, and what kind of diet foods. Let's see the last point.
So we're gonna eat less,
Eat less first to lose the weight.
we're gonna move more, 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. It's 150 minutes. Okay? We're gonna do a variety of exercises. Just getting active, right?
Did we go over the lack of sleep and how that can affect your?
Talk to them about it.
Well, I'll go over some other points that we may have missed that I'm just remembering now. When it comes to like stress, and you're stressed out, say you have a family loss in the family, resolving that stress may be more beneficial initially for yourself, because whenever you have cortisol levels raised, it is practically impossible to lose weight because your body's going to conserve every calorie that you take in. So that's really important to remember, and it's commonly known, and all that weight's going to gather in your abdomen, so it's not going to be good weight gain. Lack of sleep, that's another indirect factor. Mostly it's going to affect your energy level, and you're not going to want to work out, you're not going to be motivated. And then medications, certain medications, and mainly we want to point on over-the-counter medications that you may use for a cold and stuff. They may change the way your appetite and thirst normally is supposed to kick in. And whenever you make changes and you feel that you're not eating when you should, or you're not drinking enough, you may need to just call your doctor and find out, talk to his nurse, and just see if the medication that you're taking is okay. And that has a lot to do with stress levels and lack of sleep, because a lot of times people get in these cycles where start taking medications for when they're sick, and then they kind of go down a spiral and they have trouble motivating themselves back into the regular routine. But I think we have touched on everything. So, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you coming.